Hello everyone, this is Resident Evil 6, no hope difficulty, no damage. And the first thing that we're going to fight in this chapter is this boss again. At first I thought it was pretty hard to fight this boss in this area because it's so small and cramped. But then I found out that you can go back there, so it's easier to dodge the boss and kite him. And unfortunately, this is just the first phase, and the second phase is not hard. It's actually very easy. But the only problem with the second phase is that there's mandatory damage, and I tried. I tried to. This is the type of mandatory damage where even to me, if it seems impossible, I always try to see if there's any other way to not take damage, and there seems I don't think there seems to be a way to not take damage on that part, unless maybe if you have an infinite rocket launcher where you can stun the boss or finish the boss. But I think this boss only finishes in the second phase, because I think it doesn't die, because the only way to kill him is with a scripted event. So him dying would basically break the game. So I don't think that's possible. But Helena here blocking my path. She does that a lot in this part because it's such a small environment. And this boss not really that hard. Here you just need to kite him, know where he goes, be careful with the smoke, and stun him and shoot him till it triggers this cutscene, and then we are free to explore and go to the next phase, which is in a bit. And I will explain why you really can't do anything to not take damage unless you have infinite, like really powerful weapons, which I don't really know if it's a thing on this game. I know infinite rocket launchers are a thing from a really long time ago, from in Resident Evil games, but in this game I don't think there's infinite rocket launcher. If there is, I never unlocked it. Not I actually completed this campaign, and of course I completed, you know, Jake's campaign and Chris's campaign before, and didn't really get any reward in no hope difficulty. And I don't even think there's any reward for no hope difficulty, because no hope difficulty is a difficulty that was added later on, so there's not really anything that was there's I don't think there's any reward that they plan for that difficulty. It's just an add-on difficulty, and I don't really know what's the difference from professional. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. And the only thing I know is that I don't even think there's a trophy for no hope, or the professional difficulty trophy. I don't think it stacks with the no hope trophy, because sometimes you play the hardest difficulty, and the other difficult trophies will pop in. But yeah, this is the part where you will take mandatory damage. You can see like, look how far I am from the boss, and I tried to go as far as I could, and you cannot not take damage here. It's mandatory. The whole room will be smoky, and the boss does that right at the beginning of the fight. So even if you had infinite powerful weapon, I don't think you can stun him fast enough, because first of all, he probably will have iframes during his animation, and second of all, even if you stun him, probably the gas is would come out anyway, because you would be on that it would start the animation. Even if you stun them, maybe you couldn't stop the gas coming out. So yeah, this part, it's not real possible to no damage. I don't think it is. So I will be without a square from now on. And in this chapter there's another part where you need to take mandatory damage, and it's even more impossible to not take damage in that part, because you really take, like, you just come out of the cutscene and that's it. But when we get there, I will show. But yeah, this chapter is not really hard. It's it's actually, it's probably as easy as the last chapter. Maybe the only thing that is hard in this chapter is probably the quick time events, and that's where I died most of the times. My rank will be shit because of my deaths, because I died in quick time events, and it shouldn't be hard to press a button, like mash a button, mash a button. But I don't know. I mashed the buttons really fast. I did my best to mash it like crazy, and I still failed the quick time event. I think that's probably I'm playing at a really high frame rate, because sometimes some games when they have locked frame rates, and especially those that are not PC games and are just really bad PC ports, and they only come locked at 30, and you mod them to play at 60, and if those games have quick time events, those quick time events will get glitch, and you can, in this, really impossible to do them, and you have to actually change the quick time event frame rate too, or something like that. I remember there was a game really bad for that, and it was Killer is Dead. It was really bad, the quick time events, if you played the 60 FPS. And I don't know, I played this game at a really high frame rate, like more than 200 frame rate, and I don't know if it's because of that, because I mashed that button like really hard and really good, and still failed it. And the way that I did it was to mash the button if before the prompt appears on the screen, and this is the part where I'm going to die a lot because of the quick time events. And it will happen, there will be 2 quick time events in this chapter that will screw me, and some instant deaths part too. So this will be it. This part's not really hard. You just need to press the R in the right moment. And of course I failed it first time because I'm not really good with this. Yeah, this is the part where I died like 2 times. But if I think if you play this game at high frame rate and you mash it, or if it's a no hope difficulty thing, mash it before the prompt appears, and it will probably do the trick. I don't know. It worked for me. This one was second try, this quick time event. I died here once. And I don't know if it's because I was too slow to do the other quick time events. Probably it was, but I don't know. I don't really know. And I didn't skip this cutscene at the beginning because I kinda like this cutscene. I like to see the plane crashing down the city. It looks really cool. And then next part is gonna be the fight against the fight that I mentioned in later chapters. The fight against Ustanak, I think is his name. Ustanak, or how people used to call him back in the revealed trailers, Nemesis 2.0. This fight, I don't know if it's time based, if it's damage based. Again, this game has a lot of moments like that, which I don't really know if it's time based or damage based. I never tried it, but I will inflict as much damage as I can because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it does any difference, but just for the hell of it, I will waste a lot of ammo in here too. But it won't do that much difference. This game is good at giving you ammo, and if you are good at not wasting ammo, like me, I waste a lot of ammo in survival games and stuff like that, and I still manage to do it. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. So I will use my the pistol here, and maybe I shouldn't really waste the pistol right away because the pistol is actually really important because it's the main weapon that I use to stun enemies when there's a lot of enemies. So, but anyway, I guess I didn't really want to go straight for the powerful weapons. But yeah, Ustanak is not really hard. You just need to dodge him. I don't even think I had a hard time with him in Jake's campaign. So, you just need to wait till he does his thing. Again, I don't know if it's damage based. I don't know if it's time based. But it is what it is. So this part is not, again, this chapter is not really that hard. The next chapter is even easier in my opinion. You have to do some quick time events, which they are easy. These ones are easy. There's no way that you can fail this. If you are slow in this part, the only thing that you are, I guess, that you are failing, it's it's at I don't know, giving your partners. It's you basically the only thing that you're going to do is giving your partners a really hard time because the more you the more time you take to do this, the more time your partners will be fighting against Ustanak. And you really want to do this quickly so that they don't get pissed in case you're playing on in a public match. So if you do this correctly, Sherry, I think if someone is playing as her, she will do a quick time event too. I think I played with her in Jake's campaign, and I think that was what you do. And then you have to fight Ustanak again. And again, I don't know if it's time based or damage based, but I will do as much damage to him as I can before the fight ends. When Leon puts his hands to the wall, that reminds me of Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hills 2 when putting the hands in the wall animation when you run towards the wall. In Silent Hills 1, you could do that, and in Silent Hill 2 you could do that too, but only on hard difficulty, which is interesting because it's such a good animation for those people that like to see those small details in games, but they removed it for normal difficulty. I don't know really why. I don't know what putting your hands to the wall when you hit the wall is going to make a difference. It's going to make the game harder, but it's there, so I'm not complaining because I play games on harder difficulties anyway, so I wouldn't miss it. But I bet a lot of people probably missed it. And playing Silent Hill on the hardest difficulties, it's not really something. Even I think a game like Silent Hill, I would play it on normal because hard is not even hard on that game, but it's kind of annoying if you don't know what you're doing. You have those cockroaches that will stun lock you to death. I really hate them. But yeah, this boss really not really that complicated. Just dodge him. He has the same attacks. The dodge is very good against the boss in this game. in Leon's campaign at least. And speaking of bosses, this chapter has this chapter has a lot of bosses, and then chapter 5 will be just. I don't think you barely fight any enemies, just boss rush the same boss, and that's it. And the only thing the only other, I guess, obstacle on Leon's way in this chapter is it's those regenerating bosses. Oh, let me just. I noticed in my other commentary that my jacket made a lot of noise, and and I'm going to make a lot of noise too. And in my other commentaries, I noticed a lot of background noise too. My fan is spinning like crazy. There's making a lot of noise, but I can't really do anything about that. And my microphone is really it's it's so quiet. My voice is so quiet that I have to how do you say to I don't know how to say, but to put more volume in it to make it louder. So you will hear any kinds of background noise like cars and the church's bell. I remember you can hear in one of the commentaries. Hopefully this commentary only the fan noise will be there, and there won't be any bell, which is kind of improbable because this game is so these recordings are so long. They're like almost 1 hour, at least the ones at the beginning, that it's impossible to avoid the bell. And I don't really like to pause commentaries just because of a minor inconvenience. It really breaks the flow, and I really to keep the flow, because if I stop like recording commentary in the middle, I it's hard to come back, and it's hard to remember what I was saying. So I just want to keep the flow. These are the good old regenerators for this area. They didn't give me any trouble in this area. I barely saw one. They are chasing you, but I barely saw one. I'm just going to get the keys and just it's going to be chill. Like there's no threat. I remember these guys in Chris's campaign being a really an actual threat, but in this one they are just there. They don't really do anything. I will dodge one or two just for just to be sure, but man, there's nothing. There's really nothing to them. They're just there. It doesn't do anything. And and as of this recording, I already finished the game, no damage. And I have to admit, this wasn't as hard as I was imagining. I guess Leon's has the best campaign, the most Resident Evil campaign. There's no enemies with guns that are really precise. There's not really a lot of explosive moments that not that they would take mandatory damage. That would be kind of a threat, and even though there's at the beginning of this in the city part there's a lot where and there's one that I took damage that I could avoid. And I think just because of that, just because of the enemies alone, they are really good designed, and the bosses are very good. So Leon's campaign is probably the best one. And I don't know if I'm going to start Chris's campaign right away. I did try yesterday before finishing Leon's campaign to see how it was the beginning, and at the beginning. I remember when I played Chris's campaign wasn't bad. I was getting into it. I was enjoying it. I still didn't use melees a lot, the game's mechanics, but I went into it with my knowledge of this campaign, and there were, the first time I took damage was because I didn't even notice. It just Chris's campaign is gonna be interesting just because of that. I didn't even notice. I just noticed that Chris had this blood stain in his arm, and was like, and I looked at the life square, and I just noticed that I lost almost half a cube or a square in the Chris's case. Well, Leon's case is a square too. Only Jake's campaign is a cube. But yeah, I don't know. I just noticed and was like, how the fuck did I take damage? And it was probably a guy who shot me. So Chris's campaign to no damage is gonna be very interesting, because I remember a lot of moments where you have to hold your hold your you know those moments, survival moments, where you have to hold your ground. There'll be a lot of moments where there's going to be a lot of enemies with guns like everywhere with good precision. So if I really go through it, I don't know. This is the part, by the way, where I died like 6 times because the quick time events weren't. I wasn't really doing them fast enough. So this is the other part where I just messed it up a lot. But as I was saying, Chris's campaign is going to be very interesting to no damage, even if it's possible. One thing I will say about the Juavos in that game, even the Juavs that transform, I went to it and I used the knife at the beginning, like I did with Leon's campaign, and the Juavos, those that transform, those with the arm, they're pretty good. They're actually really good enemies. I have to admit, I like them. I have a good time. The only problem I have with them is they take a lot of damage. They took like I stunned them like 4 times, and I did 4 melees, and Jesus Christ, they didn't die. And I have to say, Chris's melees, ooh, they are good. He has the classic melees from Resident Evil 5, the Haymaker, and all those really cool melee attacks that he has in Resident Evil 5. And oh my god, they feel so good to pull off. Ah, but I took damage from a gunshot that I didn't notice, so I'm gonna see. That's why I don't know if the next project is going to be another Resident Evil campaign. Next project probably is going to be or is it going to be Dead Space 3, or it's going to be not Resident Evil. Oh no, yes, Resident Evil 7. If Resident Evil 6 Chris campaign doesn't go that well, and there's a lot of projects that I start and don't go that well, and I shouldn't publish them, like Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I got bored of the normal difficulty. I really wanted to jump straight to Master Ninja. I did the boss fight, the Doku boss fight, no damage, but I don't unlock not the Master Ninja, the hardest difficulty. I did it on normal, didn't unlock hard. I did it 2 times. I did kill Doku 2 times, and those 2 times I never received the hard difficulty, so that I can just defeat him a couple more times to unlock Master Ninja. The other way is to grab a save file, a random save file from the internet, and just, I guess, play Master Ninja through that save file. But the PlayStation 3 emulator, which is the emulator that I used to run that game, it's in the title of the video. It doesn't work that way to load saves. It's a little bit weird in the way that you need to put saves on it. You have to, I don't know, you have to do a lot of stuff, surprisingly. But on to this part anyway. You just need to wait until Elena gets this unlocked. I don't know if you take too long or if you do a really bad job in protecting Elena like I do right now. If Pierce is going to hack the tool first, and you will be locked here for quite a while. But I get Elena even when I do a really bad job protecting her, Elena gets it first, and Pierce and I don't know what happens to Pierce and Chris. I think in the other time I got it all first try when I played with my friend. My friend did a good job at protecting me. Assuming that it's Pierce that hacks the console. I don't really remember if on co-op they change and anyone can hack the console. I don't know. I don't really remember. I don't really know, but the doors are not open, as you can see. So we have the advantage, I think. Then it's just following Ada, this part. And it's going to be, and then we will transition for the train boss fight, I think. A really cool boss fight, I like it. It's eye candy, and it's not a very hard boss, but I like I said in my previous video, when it's about eye candy, I will take it, dude. I will take it. And this game is chapter 5 will be will be eye candy like paradise. Chapter 5 is gonna be really cool. There's a lot of action and set pieces and explosions and just really cool moments, interactive moments too. And it's like it's eye candy heaven for me. And I know a lot of people don't like that, and a lot of old school Resident Evil fans are like, explosions and Leon's campaign, there's explosions and there's that, and Leon's like runs and can dodge. But I really like that. I don't really mind the explosions in my Resident Evil games. That's like when, to me, that's when Resident Evil games are at best. Don't get me wrong, I love I really love the old Resident Evils. They're really fun games, but I have to admit, if I'm going to choose Resident Evil to play, I would play Resident Evil 4 to 6 anytime. Even though Resident Evil Remake is my favorite Resident Evil. Even it's my top favorite, even above Resident Evil 4. So yeah, it's like Resident Evil Remake is my favorite survival horror game. Like it's the best survival horror game for me. And Resident Evil 4 is just the best game ever for me. Who's on top? Maybe Resident Evil 4 since it's best in general. And Resident Evil Remake is just the best survival horror, even though Resident Evil Remake is a really, really, really good game in general. Still, I like the action and the controls in these games, especially on Resident Evil 6. Resident Evil 6 is really good in terms of control and enemy design in Leon's campaign, by the way. I know Chris's campaign got really chaotic when I played it. Didn't really enjoy that. And once again, I'm going to... Oh! My jacket is going to make a lot of noise, sorry about that. And you could say you can take the jacket, but I don't want to. It's cold. This is the only jacket that I have, it makes a lot of noise. Don't judge me. And this is the part, see, where you take mandatory damage, and I am really far away from the boss. Did you see how far away I was from the boss? And it starts with that. You have no other choice. He starts with that, and you have to eat it. There's no other way, and you can't go much further behind. It just does that. And you saw that at the beginning of that sequence. I tried to do a dodge to see if it was just the shockwave on the ground that take damage, but no. Even when I dodged, it damaged me. So it's this one. There's no way. There's no way that you can no damage this. Again, I know it's pretty. I know some people don't really like this type of stuff, mandatory damage, but if I can do the whole game no damage in the parts that actually matter, I have no problems with it. Yeah, it's just it sucks. Okay, it sucks. It's part of the scripting. There's nothing I really can do, but if I can do the rest of the game no damage, I have no really problem with that. I did that challenge, the parts where you can actually avoid damage. I did them. So to me, it's just I to me I just don't care. Again, I respect the people that thinks that it sucks. It ruins a pure, if you can say, pure no damage run. And I made a weird noise when I said pure. Can you hear that? Pure, pure. Damn. And this boss, I think this one is not time based. I think this is really damage based. You can go near him and melee him when he's down, and it looks really cool. It's like boom, 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 boom. Leon's having a Chris Redfield moment. I really like that. I will always do that. I don't know if it's better to damage him with your weapons than doing that quick time event. But later on I will damage him with my weapons and do the quick time event as fast as I can to see if I can do the most damage. And besides the mandatory damage, the rest of this fight is not really that hard. It's really easy. The boss is not. It's good design. You know, it's fair. It's not really interesting or something that complicated or deep. It's just this, I guess. It's not really something that I would would compare to a Devil May Cry boss or I don't know what bosses are really complicated, and when once you study them, they're not really complicated, but they're, I guess you could say, they're deep. Got Devil May Cry and I guess there's Resident Evil bosses where they kinda complicated and one before you learn them. Not this one. I get you can say that the final boss for this game is like that because when you don't know what to do, which I didn't, you are going to be like kind of lost. If you don't know that you have to use the lightning rod or blow two of his weak spots while he's before he recovers, so he can grab the lightning rod. I didn't know about that. It took me a long time to find out. Sorry about that. So yeah, this part's not really that hard. It's just going to chase you. I don't think he can hit you now. It's not really that impressive. Then you'll have a checkpoint after this quick time event, and I think I died here once because of there's like an instant death part here, and I will die. I will die one time. It's kind of hard. that it's going to be like a basically a cutscene and you have to aim at him, but he's so far away. The laser sight is really bad for it. So I kind of guessed and sprayed and prayed that I hit him. This part is not that hard. I don't. This probably is time based too, but I will give everything to him. Be sure to take cover on these parts when he shoots and when he stops shooting, and if you see that he's getting too close to the train, go to the open areas because he's probably going to smash the wall, and if you are near that wall while he smashes it, you will take damage. So yeah, now there's just a quick... I think I failed that quick time event because I wasn't really expecting it, and it's a keyboard quick time event. Ever tried to do a keyboard quick time event that it's not E or F like in Call of Duty, and instead it's like space R? It's like they expect you to type a message on the keyboard while you're doing like a quick time event. This is the part where it's... I have a hard time aiming. And if you don't aim correctly, you will instantly die. So there's that. And there's the end of the boss. Sorry about that. I'm getting a little bit sick. And yeah, this is the end of the video. So if you enjoyed this, put a like. Nah, I'm not going to say that. It's really cringe. So yeah, this is the end of the chapter. Hope you're enjoying this run, and see you next time.
I don't know, but we did what we could. Let's go.
Hey, you! Stay in the line!
There's been no sign of C-virus infection here.